7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Hello everybody and welcome to another edition of Full Course Yellow, in Pit Lane's weekly get together where we talk about all things motorsport from a big weekend. We had the Sandown, 500, twin 250s, whatever it was. We're going to find out more about that. And then there were four. We've got four contenders for the Australian Supercar Championship. They're coming up on the streets of Adelaide in a few weeks' time, so we'll find out about that. If you were at Sandown, by all means, get in touch with us on either the YouTube chat or via Facebook, and tell us, give us your impressions. What do you think of the weekend? How do you think it went compared with the regular 500, the traditional race that we've had for all of those years? I didn't go along. I actually went past on Saturday afternoon, right at the end of the race, as Chas Mostert was pretty much going across the line. It looked like a pretty good crowd, far from packed, but it certainly looked like a good crowd. So seemed to go well. But if you were there, you'd have a better idea than I have. So let's find out. We had the Macau Grand Prix. We've got coming up this weekend as well down at Phillip Island, Island Magic, and the Australian Improved Production Nationals, as well as the Australian Sports Sedan Series. But the Improved Production Nationals, an extraordinary lineup of cars, over 130 cars, lots of races over the weekend. It's going to be an absolutely huge event. So if you're down here in Victoria and you've got the opportunity of heading down there to Phillip Island, as we've said for years, Island Magic, it's schoolies for petrol heads. It's the end of season party. It's not a championship, this year, I suppose, for Improved Production and Sports Sedans, it is a championship. But for everybody else, it's just racing for the sake of racing and having fun. And to join us this week to talk all about things racing and what happened on the weekend, we've got Craig Doc Gladigo, we've got Peter Johnson, and from Queensland we have Mr. Mark Jones. G'day guys, how are we?
Hello.
Evening, Brett, and evening, viewers and listeners.
So, let's start out and talk about the Sandown 500. I suppose locally that was the biggest thing that happened. Certainly in the lead up, it didn't have, to me anyway, I suppose, being old and crotchety, it didn't have the build up. It didn't have the excitement of a traditional Sandown 500. But as I said, it looked a reasonable crowd on the Saturday, and also the shots I've seen, there was a shot of the grandstand. Probably I think it was on Sunday. Looked about 3/4 full, and we know that grandstand holds 11,000 people when it's absolutely full. So so you might look at about say 8,000 or 9,000 there, and then the people who sort of were parked round Red Hill and up the back straight as well. So probably another 4,000 or 5,000 there. So not a huge crowd, but a good crowd. But about the racing itself, I mean, who watched what, Pete? I imagine you had a look at it. What did you think of the race?
I thought Sunday's race was better than Saturday's race. I thought Will Brown on both races did an amazing job, coming from where he did up to, almost on Saturday, almost podium position, and then on Sunday, I think to a podium position.
Second and third in both races. Second on Saturday and third on Sunday.
Yeah. So I thought he did an amazing job. I think we could do away with the finals system. I think we could do away with point system, because that's far beyond my brain power. We could do away with the point system, because that's far beyond my brain power.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. I mean, I know why they're doing the point system. It's obvious why they're doing it. It is very much part of keeping the last few rounds alive. And I think a lot of it was probably coming from the pressure of the South Australian government in terms of continuing the grand final. It's like, if we're going to have a grand final, then the grand final has to mean something. There's no point having sort of a grand final, but promoting it as the grand final when the championship has been decided, 4 races back. So I can understand why they're doing it. I don't sort of like it myself, but because you could have a situation the way it's had, come together that Kai Allen could end up having an amazing weekend, winning his first ever and his only ever supercar race on the streets of Adelaide, and end up being the champion, and that's to me that's insane.
So
Yeah.
it's far fetched.
And Brock
It's a bit of a
Phoenix,
joke.
Brock Phoenix had such a sensational year. It would be an injustice for any other result to occur, I personally feel.
Well, there's half a dozen drivers that you could probably nominate that have had relatively better years in some respects, and the ridiculous outcome if scenario doesn't make without a name that Brett just mentioned. So yeah, you know what I mean. It could be just anyone. I mean, you could say, and this is no offense because I love Cam, but you could have what's his name? Drives for Blanchard these days. Coming halfway through the year. What's his name? Cam.
Um, Aaron,
Aaron
Aaron
Cameron.
Cameron.
Aaron Cameron could suddenly win the championship at the end of the year because
I don't think so.
that's Brett's point though. You've got to make it. I'm just exaggerating as much as possible.
Yeah, I think that they've got to find something. I mean, obviously, the silly thing is, I mean, obviously, it's been modelled on the NASCAR system, and it's interesting that NASCAR are now looking at some alternatives, and they're having this debate as well for very similar reasons. They're saying that we can have a driver that absolutely dominates all year, over the course of an entire season. Has he and the team have just done an amazing job. They're well out in front. They would have wrapped the series up ages ago, but then they have a couple of bad races. It would be like in Formula One if we get to the last round and it's suddenly like, okay, it's now between because of the way the points have fallen, it's now between Oscar, Lando, Max, and Alonso, or anybody else, or perhaps someone who hasn't won a race this year. And if the circumstances fall perfect for them, they could wind up as a world champion on the strength of one really good race.
Or it could be a Ferrari driver because they're all setting records at the moment, but at Ferrari they're just not the right ones.
Yeah. But anyway, Mark, what did you think of it all? Did you watch?
I did. I watched both. I actually forgot about it on Sunday, and got there in time to watch the supercar race. So I've missed all the supports, which I was actually really quite looking forward to. But no, the main races.
If you get the opportunity to see, because I didn't.
Oh, I will be.
I didn't see, but yeah, I spoke to Richard yesterday. Richard's heading up to Bathurst for Challenge Bathurst, so he probably won't be with us tonight. But I spoke to him yesterday. And just let him know that for a whole bunch of reasons, which some of you know about, I didn't see much of the race. I saw about the last 20 laps of Sunday, but apart from that, he said that the support races were really good. He said the support races were very entertaining, and he said if you get a chance to watch the support races, Touring Cup Masters was fabulous. Sprint Cup, Michelin Sprint Cup was great. He said it was a really good meeting apparently. So yeah.
And and of course it was the Twitter 86 finale as well, so I'm keen to catch up on that one. But the main races, of course, the Sunday race was a fascinating little affair as we shook out the what was going to happen as to who went through. I mean, Tom Randall was eliminated from the top 7 pretty much straight away, but we then had this fight between the two Penrite Grove Mustangs and Cameron Waters as to who was going to get the 4th and final position, and then Waters and Matt Payne eliminated each other in that little.
Whoa! You got to go back about 20 steps on that one. So I was standing in the stand at the Grand Prix a year and a half ago, one stage. I was watching this supercars race going around in front of me. No points involved in like that. And I saw a very animated Matt Payne and Cameron Waters get stuck into each other,
Oh, yeah.
including Cameron get out of the car at the end of the pits, which not all the cameras picked up on the whole lot of it. I got to see all of it right in front of my face down there. I reckon it goes back as far as then as the bad blood that
Well, they
I
said
saw on
that.
that particular day. And Cameron's comment exactly, Peter, was, if that's how you're going to play it from now on, that's how I'll play it. But he also backed up what he said before the start of the races on Sunday and whatever like that. He says, whatever words, I'm not going to put it word for word. He says, I'm going to come out swinging today. I'm going to absolutely play. And he followed through on his threats.
He did do that, yeah.
What do we think of the penalty? Because that's about the time that I actually sort of turned it on. Basically, once I got back from the hospital, I turned it on, and sure enough, there was they were showing the replay at least of the incident that gave
all of them, the biff and the barge, all the biff and the barges.
Well, I mean, it was.
The penalty was academic in the end because they're giving each other mechanical damage that pushed them down the order and out of the running, and that
I just think it would. It's come down to the fact now that you go, because it was one thing. It was. I think even sort of like Feeney just said, well, like I was going off. I was going off anyway. I was going in really hard. So
Will Brown.
Oh, sorry, Will Brown. I went in a bit hard, and I was probably going straight through anyway. And if there was a touch, it was a very, very minor touch. But that's basically not.
Right. Sorry, that one. Yeah.
So, and then because of like a because of almost a technicality, and the technicality seems to be now that if you touch someone and they go off, you're going to get a penalty. So I can see why Shane Van Gisbergen is so delighted to be at NASCAR now, because really, if you don't want to see people, you don't want it to be a demolition derby. And incidentally, that was tragedy on the weekend, and we won't go. I don't know too much about what happened there. I only found out about that yesterday morning, but thoughts going out to everybody involved in that.
Had a crash, had a medical incident, blacked out, concussion, and lost it. So that's what happened.
Went into the crowd.
So they're reviewing all the barriers and stuff now.
Yeah, so there'll obviously be a full investigation into that. But
getting back to that Will Brown Cam Waters incident, it almost looked like they touched. Yes, they did touch slightly, but it almost looked like Will Brown was going off deliberately just to exacerbate.
Well, he basically said that. He said, I couldn't. He said, I knew I wasn't going to make that corner. It's like, I'm going to have to cut this because I'm not going to make it round that corner. He's alongside me. I've got no room. He's gone in hard to try and block him out, and it hasn't worked. So he's locked up a bit, and so he's just gone, right, I've just got to go through, which he did. But it's not
if you pick what staging in AFL, you get a fine and you get or a free kick against you. So are you saying you're staging, Pete?
Yes.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know whether he was staging or not. But he said himself. I just thought it was I was surprised that when he got the thing. As you said before, though, I mean it was sort of turned out to be academic. And once again, Will Brown put in a couple of amazing drives over the weekend. The Saturday race, of course, won by Chas Mostert. And I must admit, the only good thing that happened to me on the weekend was I was out on Friday with a good friend of mine, and I've said a million times before, I don't bet on car racing. I don't bet on anything, basically. He's an inveterate punter. He will punt on two flies going up a wall. And just out of curiosity, because we were at an adult entertainment venue that didn't involve people taking off their clothes, I leaned across and thought, I wonder what the odds are for Sandown. And I pressed, and I said to Curly, I said, oh, good guys, I'm really surprised that Chas Mostert is $6. I said, I don't bet, but if I was a betting person, I'd certainly put a few dollars on
so you're aiding and abetting, and so you're
so Curly so Curly reached in and handed me $5 because he just put on a bet himself and just said, go put it on, and
Got $30.
Hang on, hang
yeah,
on.
so we picked
I bet-
ourselves. Yeah, so we picked ourselves up $30 for next Friday's drinks. So that'll go down well. That'll buy us two
So
drinks,
you-
incidentally.
So, Brett, you're saying you were betting the betting.
Yeah, I was abetting the betting. Yes, very much.
No,
Right.
aiding and
Aiding and
abetting.
abetting. But anyway, so that was it. So I had a win there, but was
It's not
was
sport. It's
delighted.
not sports bet. Sports Brett.
The funny thing was, as I said, I didn't get there because I went in on Saturday night to the annual Australian Community Television Awards, the Antenna Awards, to present an award there, and I hopped on the train. I was heading in there, sort of dressed to the sixes or whatever it is that I'm dressed at, and of course I've hit the Sandown station right at the end of the day, and 150 motorsport fans have walked through the carriage, and half of them turn around and go, "Oh, g'day, mate, you're the bloke from..." wanted to talk about a race that I hadn't seen. I had to say to them, "Who won? Did Boston hang on?" They went, "Yeah, oh yeah, mate, he pissed it." I was like, "Oh, good, okay," but they ended up.
Where's
they
the
ended up
PSO
talking to-
officers when you need one?
Yeah. Well, it could have been Cam McConville because that's what he's doing. Cam McConville is actually a PSO officer. Is a PSO
Is
now.
that what he's doing? I didn't know.
That's what he's
Cam.
doing. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it was on the news recently. He rescued somebody that had a heart attack.
Yeah.
Oh, well, they've all been taken away from the train stations and now been put in shopping centres. So if you want to catch up with Cam, he'll be down at Fountain Gate.
And that's happened quickly because speaking of Fountain Gate, I was there on Friday picking up the suit to go there, and there were PSOs running around, wandering around.
They did it last week. They
numbers.
switched them last week.
Yeah, so that's another interesting thing.
As well as quick as you can switch a Labor for a Liberal leader or in Victoria or in New South Wales. If you need a new Nationals leader in New South Wales, you can switch them just like that. It's you can't. Anyway, we could go on politics all day. It's just crazy. Actually, I get more humour out of politics at the moment than actually serious stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we could get onto a whole thing there, but anyway, we won't. But anyway, so what do we think? I mean, are we happy with has this been a good compromise? I mean, the two races, did anybody at all prefer the two races to the old? I certainly didn't, but as I said, it seemed to be fairly popular, and certainly all the people I spoke to on the train all said, "Oh yeah, no, it was great." And a couple of the youngsters said, "Oh, it was better. We got two races instead of one. It was all the lead drivers, and we weren't there all day watching the car go around for hour after hour, and they seemed to like it." So, it looks like this is going to be certainly the future of this race for as long as they hold the Sandown.
The only thing I liked about it was on Sunday, the start was delayed because they had the oil spill from the TCM, and I thought, oh gee, this is going to be time certain, and it wasn't. That's the only thing I liked about it.
Well, the reason it wasn't, of course, was that it obviously wasn't on free-to-air television, so they didn't have to worry about
there's the curfew, isn't there?
Yeah, the curfew's been stretched a bit. The curfew used to be a very strict 5 o'clock. They've now stretched it out to 5:30, and the deal is if the race starts before 5:30, because like at some of the state rounds, but also the historics as well, there was a thing like a real rush to get the last race on a couple of occasions because they said, we can't start the last race any later than 5:30. But if we can get there at 5:30, before 5:30, and start the race, they're basically allowed to finish it.
With Sandown's time slot these days, the cows approve of it, don't they? Remember, so it's daylight savings. So it's not as dark as early. The cows apparently don't like it, according to Queenslanders and all the people up north.
It's
anyway,
got nothing to do with the cows.
I know, that's why I'm saying it. I'm just being a total smart ass. It's absolutely a joke. Bloody cows don't know what the freaking time is. So daylight savings.
Oh, they do.
Oh, well, right, okay. I've got half my family's dairy farmers up in Shepparton. I know how it all works. I'm not going to get into the politics tonight. So the point of being is what I'm being stupid about is it's got daylight savings, so it's according if you time wise, it's an hour's difference to what it used to be about a month ago. So do the math. You don't have to be a simple person to work that out.
Yeah, so they are the council, the Dandenong Council have been a lot more sort of flexible because they do want to sort of keep Sandown. And the interesting thing was, and we saw it, at the historic. I think we might have commented on it. I don't know whether we did or not. But when you go there now, they've done quite a bit of work around the track.
The paint. I know. I said to you straight away about the paint. They've just
the painting and they're doing some work on some of the places inside.
Just back to the the engine blow up. One of the more interesting and perhaps disappointing side effects of all of that was it deprived us of the last race of the year for Super Utes, and there was a 6-point gap between first and second.
That was a bonus.
So do I. They should be single cabs.
Oh, come on! There's some great drivers and some good stuff. I've got friends in the class, and look, but there was a 6-point battle going on for the title between heading into the final race. So we were all set for a grandstand finish, and in the end, Dave Cedars found out that he was the champion, sitting in his car in pit lane. So.
Yeah, it was unfortunate. I mean, I think it was Will Brown made some, or it might have been Brock Feen. It was one of the Triple Eight guys who sort of made some comments about, they needed to fix that up a lot. It's easy to say that thing. I think Knackers made a few comments on it as well in terms of it's really simple to say. Oh well, you should do something about it. You should clean that up quicker. Number one, it was there was lots of oil down. Number two, it was wet. It's not an easy thing to do to get it to the stage where it's going to be fair and safe for everybody, and you don't want a whole bunch of oil. The people coming into pit lane and suddenly hitting a whole bunch of oil, all of a sudden that could turn into a very nasty situation. So. Yeah,
it's not the kind of thing that you can fix with like a jet truck or anything like with it, because obviously it's not going to. Like you'll see some places use jets to fix to try and dry circuits and what have you, but you can't do that with an oil spill.
They've got one out at Calder. They've got the on a trailer. They take out the little jet engine that's just.
Well, it's compulsory for drag strips to have that kind of thing.
So they got that.
You can't do that with an oil spill. There isn't. So it's all.
Well, even if
big
you
oil
can, you
spills
can't
are
do it
all
when
low
there's
tech.
water involved. I mean, water. That's the problem. I mean, you can throw down all of the stuff in the. Paul's just pointing out the telecast radio audio made it sound like Ute drivers killed their own by claiming the track was unraceable. So so it sounds like it was there. It was predominantly their call that they decided not to go out. So I suppose at this time of year, discretion's the better part of value. You don't want to be writing off, going into the last round and riding. They might have just had a bit of a word with it and said, look, let's call it there. We don't want to go out there. We're not going to take the. Probably people in contention for the championship were saying, I want to race. Dave Soders was going, no, it's very dangerous out. Oh, you don't want to go out there. Very dangerous.
I would have thought if the Super Utes could have gone out, though, then why the 20-minute delay for Supercars?
Well, yeah, I mean, once again, they're probably the same thing. Like, they want it, and they obviously want it, in the best conditions.
I guess just don't rush the cleanup.
Just like Formula One does. They want it swept and cleaned, and like on the Sunday before a Grand Prix in Albert Park, there's nothing for about 4 hours while they're sweeping the track and making it pristine for the Formula Ones.
Yeah, and I think that's the problem of going to the Grand Prix on a on race day on the Sunday, because if you go on Friday or Saturday, you do get a whole bunch more racing. Whereas if you go on the Sunday, you get a couple of races in the morning, and then you get sort of like a dirty great big gap of pretty much nothing apart from sort of exhibition laps and slow parade laps and drivers on the back of in the back of MGs waving to you and all the rest of it. I mean, I'm not paying sort of $600 to go see
and
that.
utilities, and utilities with like the clay courts where they used to bag the courts at clay courts. So you have utilities driving around, sweeping the track.
Auntie Carvet's called. I used to play on a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that, Jared's saying they should give them a race on the drive day because of course, they did have the drive day yesterday. I knew because I went out when I had to go back out on to yesterday morning. I hopped in worked to the car and I went, oh, I'm hearing things. It sounds like they're still racing at Sandown. I'm going mad, and I went, oh no, hang on a second.
Yeah, Knackers you put it up on the lower third last week.
I remembered it. I had other things on my mind. I did try and get a lot, but apparently it was no, unless you had to have an invitation, and it was only Supercar accredited media were allowed to attend apparently. So I didn't go, but I wouldn't have gone anyway because I'm a bit banged up at the moment. But I certainly wasn't in any mood to be taken out. Bloody cameras and sound gear and all the rest of it. So I didn't end up going. But as Knackers was saying, it was good to see that Triple Eight and the team were made a big fuss of Lownsy having his last laps with the team. And what makes, of course, this is after a weekend where I felt very, very old. I feel even older now when I see a photo of Craig taking his son around, and his son's taller than him. I don't know how old he is, but he looks about 19 or something, and it's like, I remember when you were the kid, Yeah, so Utes dragging around the mats do a good job picking up small stone debris. Yeah, so anyway, that was Sandown, and it's over and done with. But also on the weekend, and we'll get onto it quickly. If you didn't see it, by all means, go onto YouTube and watch as much of it. Once again, for obvious reasons, I didn't see as much of the meeting as I would have liked. I didn't see any of the TCR or any of the but I was home in time to see the Grand Prix itself. The famous Macau Grand Prix, all of the build-up, the ridiculous build-up of the Macau Grand Prix, which is the most
all one of the finishes is right behind me.
So So anyway, with the lion dance, so that was very emotional because it was always a huge thing with Melissa. And Melissa loved the lion dance, and every time and when we went there, it was just, and to see the lion out again, it's a very important part of that meeting. And it's just a fabulous event, and all of the nonsense where they go. The drivers are presented to just about every single would-be dignitary in the town. This is the president of the local council. This is the local mayor. This is the local mayor's wife. This is the local mayor's wife brother.
Respected.
It's very much, and everybody takes part in that. The whole community just gets involved. It is the most overstaffed race meeting you've ever been to in your life, but it is absolutely magnificent. And if you get the chance to go, make sure you do so. And it was an amazing race. In the end, Teo Nail did a double pass with on the second last lap.
Don't finish it off. Give it the whole 3 or 4 laps. Just don't give it the last lap. 3 or 4 laps, he was still sitting in way back, and it was that bloody Freddie. What's his name from the UK? Which you think Formula
for the second year in a row that he's done that.
Yes, well, but he had a better weekend this weekend as a whole than he did the previous one. He really absolutely balls the whole lot up last year. But the UK, you think the UK bloody guys in Sky are biased in Formula One? They were a little bit. Although for the last win, they gave credit to Teo and also what's the guy comes second who was devastated. He should have had it in the bag, but it all comes down to Lisbo. I think it's Lisbo and San Francisco, the two corners, 1 and 2, 3, whatever like that. through that section in the front in section 1. It is just incredible, as Brett's saying. And just watch the last 3 or 4 laps, because you have to put up with a little bit of safety car stuff, but that's what creates the situation, as the commentators do say. It is amazing. And don't just watch the F3s. The cars they're really driving are F3s.
Oh, watch everything.
I watched the TCR races. They were fantastic, and the second TCR race was excellent.
Well, both of them, because Josh fell in the 10th place, even though he didn't qualify. I think he qualified 6th or 7th, I think in the qualies, and then fell in the 10th place in the first race, which then dropped him into pole position for the second race on the Sunday, the day after, which meant all he had to do was just get a good start and hold everyone out. Aside from all the massive pressure, which I commented to you guys about, he held them out because it was mainly dominated by Hyundais and excuse me.
Hyundais and the Lincoln Co's, yeah. The Hondas were just left behind a little bit. Yeah,
but you can see the strengths and weaknesses in a lot, like also mentioned to you guys, there were cars had different strengths and weaknesses in the TCRs or the F3s or the F4s or the GTs. It's a real shame that
GTs was fun.
GTs didn't have the Mercs in the main game, but they were in the Cup race. So unfortunately, no backing from the AMG group there. But yeah, there you go. I've basically summed up the whole weekend without giving you the results.
Yeah, so have a look. Go on it's on various things. The good thing about the Macau Grand Prix, as I said, like for a couple of years, we actually used to telecast not live, but we used to do the Grand Prix on Channel 31 because SBS had it for a number of years, and when they stopped running it, I just said to them, I said, oh, it's a shame, are you on in Australia? And they said, unfortunately, we, this year, no. And I said, well, that's a shame. I said, we'd be happy to run it. I mean, we couldn't pay you anything, but we'd be certainly happy to run it if you'd give us the rights. And they said, oh, yeah, of course, not a problem. Thank you.
SRO do a fantastic job though these days.
Oh, that wasn't. This is the Macau Grand Prix organising group.
No, but Steph's behind a lot of it these days as well too. Especially
only the GT's got nothing to do with the Grand Prix.
I'm sure he's got a hand in saying and with some of the others.
No, he's got no. Trust me, he's got nobody has any. I know the people behind it, and they wouldn't be letting Steph anywhere near the place. That's a very much.
What do you mean he was there? They were interviewing him on the grid. He was wrapped and happy.
He's there, but he has no say in the running of anything there. I mean,
I just thought the media he'd be saying, "Go to this guy." I mean, who picks the British commentators to come over then?
Oh, they've been doing that for years.
I know they have, but who picks them?
The Grand Prix, the Macau Grand Prix organising committee.
Okay, all right, yep.
And they've been running. Those guys have been doing it for.
David's been doing it for years.
Crew, yeah.
David's been doing it for years. Yeah.
So they've been doing a great job. But like I said, it is really a once a year thing. It is like a giant school fete. It's the people involved have nothing to do with motor racing right throughout the year, but for one weekend a year, or for about 4 days, this is what they all work up to and everybody's involved. The schools are involved. Everybody. All of
the grandstands. You see sections of the grand, and they're all in the same uniform, and they have the tours through. And one car broke down off the grid, and you'd see 50 marshals out there instead of 5 pushing it all.
They are so good at clearing that track. They are amazing.
Oh, they have to.
Jesus, it's just started suddenly poured down massively rain here. Anyway, sorry, distracted. Bam.
Well, that image suggests that it might be champagne that it's falling on you rather than rain.
Well, a lot of it's Fiocos.
So, but yeah, it was a great, a fabulous meeting. And I'd love to go back again. As I said, I was watching it through gritted teeth, and lots of bandages and all the rest. And I was sitting there watching it and thinking, I wish I was back there again, because it was so bizarre and it's so much fun. It's a really weird. Speaking of fun, the Bathurst 12-hour is an enormous amount of fun, and the lineup for that is starting to look really, really impressive. We've just had the announcement. We had all the announcements, so we know that the Corvette is going to be there. We had the announcement of the Porsche team coming from the Asian series, and about 2 hours ago, it was announced that Garnet Patterson, who's been racing in the European Le Mans series, is coming over with the McLaren,
Optimum.
With Optimum Racing, and they're going to be running in the Pro class. So we're going to have for the first time for a while, we're going to have a McLaren back at the 12-hour. We're going to have for the first time, well, not the first time ever, because I think they ran the front engine, the old version, many years ago with Jim Manolius and those guys. But certainly we're going to have a Corvette there. Scott McLaughlin was scheduled to come out and be one of the drivers, apparently, but IndyCar testing has got in the way of that, so he's not going to do that. As I said, I would be really surprised if Craig Lowndes wasn't one of the drivers involved in that, and then depending on what his schedule is in terms of NASCAR, wouldn't surprise me to see Shane Van Gisbergen as possibly one of the other drivers there as well. So
Lined with Chevy.
yeah, so let's
Yeah, they've got 8 different manufacturers lining up for the
Is there an Aston in it this
that.
year? Was they going to bring the Aston in over? No?
Oh, I had the list in front of me just now and I closed it like an amateur.
Sorry.
yeah, I don't think I haven't said, but it wouldn't surprise me. There's a few here.
McLaren, Porsche, Audi, Ferrari, BMW, Mercedes, Corvette, and Lamborghini. So
You know what, Brett,
yeah,
you and I
not
forgot to do last weekend? We were at Sandown. What were we at Sandown for?
I was there for a good time.
What was it? Not the week, not the Supercars. The weekend before. What we were at Sandown for?
Yeah, for the historics.
Yep. Who were the 2 or 3 people we interviewed?
We interviewed George Vidovic.
Yes.
And we interviewed Andrew Medicki.
Yes.
Whose son?
What does he own that you could put into the Bathurst 12-hour?
Well, he has the GT4 Mustang, but I don't think he'll run there because the GT4 What
does he own that you could put in the Bathurst 12-hour?
I don't know. You tell me.
He's got it for sale at the moment, and we didn't do what we were remiss is we didn't do a deal with him. We had him in front of us. We're chatting to him. We had him on camera. We had an interview, and guess what he's got for bloody sale at the moment? And we could have bloody run out a deal with him. I'm probably promoting it right now, but anyway, guess what he's got?
Tell us quickly. I don't know. Tell us.
He's got the Bentley at the moment. He's got it up for 400,000.
Damn it! Oh,
He's got the damn old Bentley up for 400 quid at the moment. Oh, well,
yeah, Jared's saying Mustang GTP might get. The Mustang. There will be a GT3 Mustang.
Yeah, exactly.
There at least
anyway,
one.
Love to see another Bentley.
Yes, yeah.
We could have bought off Andrew, and we could have ran a team at the B12.
Yeah. But anyway, I mean, it's going to be a huge event. It's great to see it. I was really worried that they might struggle to get a good.
Looked that way a couple of months ago. It was.
Also looks like I'm pretty sure we are going to get WRT back as well because they're as I said they've announced a couple of drivers basically replacing Valentino Rossi in one of those seats. And
there is a BMW. Sorry.
Yeah. Replacing one of the drivers, the American driver, whose name Parker.
They've got depth in the team. They've got a lot of depth in WRT.
Parker Thompson's a Toyota aligned driver.
He basically said that one of the reasons for joining the team, he said he had a couple of bucket list races. One was Nürburgring 24-hour, the other was Bathurst. And I'm sure they have no problem. I assume he's bringing some money in.
There's plenty of others. There's a couple of satellite teams there too, Brett, that would love to come across and drive the Bathurst driver. Fortunately,
if you talk to them, I mean, even back in the day when they had the 24-hour, because they had the 24-hour, and it was the following year after the last 24-hour at Bathurst. That was the year we went to Le Mans for the first time, and wherever we walked in the paddock, because we had media accreditation, everybody, as soon as they knew we were from Australia, said to me and Melissa, tell us about what's going to happen with the Bathurst 24-hour. Is it still going to continue? We want to be there. We've got to be. It just looks, that track looks amazing. Everybody wanted to go there, and
You said 24 hour then?
everybody still
Yeah.
wants to race there. So
The
I've
Bathurst
got
24 hour.
Well, at
2003.
Bathurst, I mean, they
You
stopped
just
the
said the
24.
Bathurst 24 hour.
Yeah, no, well, it was. It was the Bathurst
Yeah,
24. It was
yeah,
Bathurst
yeah.
24
Yeah,
hours.
yeah, that's right. Yeah. I'm just making
And
sure.
and I'd love to personally. I'd love to see it go back again. Sort of, sitting at the top of McPhillamy Park at sort of 3 o'clock in the morning,
Definitely need to
watching
sleep on
cars
that
go
one.
around was amazing.
Yep.
Wow, so we had a few international teams come across for that one. A
Yeah.
couple of top teams from Europe, like a couple of proper Porsche GT3R. Well, they weren't called GT3Rs then, but yeah,
We had
that
the
level
factory
of
Morgan team. Remember
yeah,
the
we
Morgan
did.
that ran? We had there.
I was actually in the I was actually in the commentary box at the time when the Morgan blew its radiator to
That's
pieces
right.
going across the
Yes,
finish line.
I've
That's
still got.
something that's something that's stuck with me a little bit.
It doesn't fit me anymore. I've still got the shirt from the 24-hour that I actually won because I won the tipping contest in the media room as to how many laps the winner would go. So the prize was a genuine pole Bathurst 24 hours official polo shirt. So I've
Should have
still
got it signed
that.
by the winner.
Well, I suppose I could have. I suppose I could have had it signed by Ross Palmer because he's the one
Exactly,
who
yeah.
gave it to me. So
You should have got it signed. Doesn't matter. Anyway, are
Happy days.
we going to talk about the two main subjects of F1 for this week?
are there subjects about? Okay, let's go quickly.
The two main ones. Well, the one they're both in my lower third. So 6 hectares out of 45 minutes out to South Australia has been bought by Tiffany Cromwell. So congratulations to her and her partner. So that's a Formula One related, and that's very important. Which it also has 6 guest residences, so we can all go and stay and hang out with them as well too. So I've got my Cadell Evans to all my gear and stuff like that. I can go there and hang out with the bike riders over there. So that's number one important Formula One news. And the other one, of course, there's two. There's the strict stint length limits that Pirelli have imposed for the
that's
next
probably
race.
for Qatar.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not the for the Qatar.
Sorry, not for
round,
Las
so,
Vegas.
yeah.
It's for Qatar. Sorry, my
Yeah,
apologies.
so they're
That's
going
coming
it's
to
up.
gonna be-
25 lap
Well,
maximum.
turns it into a
And it's going to
two-stopper.
be a dismal failure like it is at Monaco.
Well,
I've
it's also they're using the race as well too. So it's going to be a test session to see what it's going to be like for next year when they're thinking about bringing in the two stoppers as well as a compulsory.
Well,
for
you'd have to
20
think next year with the extra power that they're going to have, particularly the extra torque, you'd have to think it's highly unlikely that any of the tyres that they provide are going to be able to last at most tracks because they're going to be putting out under hard acceleration when that because they're going to have well over close to around 500 horsepower from the electric alone. So when they kick that in, that's bringing them back over 1,000 horsepower and bucket loads of torque. So you can imagine they're going to be spinning wheels left, right, and centre. So they're going to get through a whole race without having some problems.
And the other
But
one
this
is
year,
sorry, Pete. Go ahead about the tyres.
sorry, but this year, that two-stop rule for this year is going to be a dismal failure, just like it is. It might be all right next year, but at Monaco, it's a dismal failure. Like
Well, they have to stop that front right from blowing out or whatever deteriorating. So that's the reason they're doing it. It's also a safety reason too.
Is it heat or abrasiveness of the circuit that's causing this?
Whatever it is, they've got.
Well,
it's
both.
it's
And
stuck in tight.
Qatar's very
Yeah.
abrasive and it's usually hot as well. Even though they run at night, it's usually very hot. There's lots of sand blowing in onto the on the circuit. So it's like, it is like literally
Sandpapers,
running
yeah.
on sandpaper.
They're taking the risk
And,
away from the teams.
but-
Simple
yeah,
as
they
that.
just basically, Pirelli have said, look, we're not comfortable with the ability of the tyres that we're going to provide to hang on, and we believe that for safety reasons we really need to limit the maximum stint to 25 laps.
Remembering the Indy Grand Prix?
Yes.
When
And
but
sorry,
but at Monaco, when they brought it in because it was too hard to pass, and they've persisted with it this year, it was a flop because it was.
Well, I think they brought
the
it in
pers-
at Monaco because they wanted to try and make it exciting, and it didn't work. But so it was less about the tyres. I think like the argument that's being used for Qatar is it's a safety thing, because Pirelli are just saying no, we don't believe those tyres
is
are
not-
going to last.
not think it will be because it happened last year. So
Yeah.
it definitely. And the other big event is the social media. I never thought something positive could ever come out of it, but anyway, it is massive at Ferrari at the moment. The number one story. None of the other teams exist at the moment. Who cares about cars, of personality, whatever? Except for two drivers. So when the Ferrari fanfare goes feral, they do it in the tens and tens of thousands, especially when they call for a CEO's head on the chopping block, and that they have
done
gone.
that for years.
No. This has gone. Have a quick catch up with Brett's mate Kim
It
Hillman.
happened way before social media.
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
Well, it
going
did, but
back
this is a
I
perfect
remember in
way
the
of
60s,
displaying
the
it.
1960s.
Yeah, well, this one they can be actually doing it more in all together in one bloody post. So, and the trouble is though, when
And
you've
the
got the
Italian
CEO that
media
comes
are
out
vicious.
and his response
Yes.
is he's telling the
Exactly.
drivers to just worry about stop worrying about talking and more worry about driving, not relating to his posts or anything like that. So it's going on crazy at the moment. So, but it always has gone crazy, but it gets highlighted now because of the small world we live in.
I still wouldn't worry.
Yeah,
Not worry. I reckon it's fun. I reckon it's hilarious. I'm
and,
not worried.
add a little, another little F1 tidbit. Oscar Piastri was awarded the Don Award.
and
This,
he'll be this week
for-
congratulations to
In
Oscar
his white
because
T-shirt.
that'll mean a lot to him. Obviously, it's the number one sporting achievement. He's the first motor racing person to ever win the award, and that's created some controversy from some idiots. But well done. But also the fact that Oscar is such a huge cricket tragic as well. The fact that he's got an award that's been named after the Don, after the great Don Bradman, would I think mean an awful lot to him. So well done for everybody for voting. However the vote went, I'm glad to see they took the sport seriously and took his achievements seriously, because if you look on an international standard, regardless of what happens in the championship, just the year he's had and the fact that he's got to where he has been, he's been so successful in all those categories over the years. He's definitely a deserving winner. So congratulations to Oscar.
Well, they were interviewing the chief on Channel 7 and Channel 10 last night about his induction into the Hall of Fame, even though he was made a member of it something last year, whatever it may be. Anyway, the chief said it is such an honour to be inducted into this special group, elevated to this, when all of these other people are Olympians and Australians and representatives on the world stage, and here I am, just an Aussie AFL footballer. Yeah, I've kicked a lot of goals. Yeah, I've won a lot of premierships and that. But the chief was, he was very humble and grateful, and I think, it was fantastic of him to absolutely respect all the people that he was joining as well, though, too. Which also goes to the special at 6:50 tomorrow night is the AFL National Draft, which is huge for all the clubs. And the other one is
so if you're having trouble sleeping, you're right to go.
It's very early, 6:50. No, I've already had my mates already messaging me this afternoon on what my club should be picking and what their club is going to be and their stuff like that. So anyway, that's my AFL mates. Over to Brett now, because Brett's going to give us the test team that he's going to announce it for Friday over in Perth.
Yes, of course we do have the.
Who's
we've got
in?
a big week. We've got a big weekend because we've got the test is coming, but also down at the big test down at Phillip Island is that amazing turnout for the Improved Production Nationals.
Oh,
As we
wow.
said, get down there. I tried to get an entry list so we could have a look at it and I've contacted the Improved Production Racing Association of Victoria, but they haven't got back to me, unfortunately, in the last. So I don't have any details now. Unfortunately, we've been covering
Email
Island
Jeff?
Magic for basically the whole time that we've been doing in pit lane. So coming up to 30 years now, Island Magic was always sort of one of the big meetings. It was always one of the big things. As I said, the sort of we gave it the title sort of schoolies for petrol heads, which they've sort of picked up now as part of the gimmick, and it's got that sort of vibe. We used to go down there regularly. Unfortunately, this is going to be the first one we're going to miss over the years. Unfortunately, with times have changed. And unfortunately, we're sort of persona non grata at the moment, so we won't be down there. But although it's got such a good meeting, if it's halfway decent weather on Saturday or Sunday, particularly Sunday, I might just jump down and throw a packed lunch in the car.
Shoot me off a message, and I might join you. Shoot me off a message.
Pay to get in and watch a race for the sake of a race, because it's going to be fantastic. It's going to be also a big field for the National Sports Sedan Series as well. I think they've got a pretty good turnout for the historic touring cars, which is their sort of last round of the year. So great meeting. Island Magic coming up this weekend, and then of course the following week we'll be down at Geelong. I'm hoping we can get down there as well. It's as I said, it's getting, because of insurance and all the rest of it, it's becoming very, very difficult for us to basically cover anything now. And if we want to get covered in terms of to get permission, we have to go through Motorsport Australia. We've got to get a media, we've got to get media passes. To do that for the show would cost at minimum a couple of $1,000. So
just a quick, I'll give a quick summary for you there, Brett. The Improved Production will be the Matthew Flinders Plate as usual. Then there's the National Sports Sedans has the 50K plate. The Sports Sedans, Porsche 944s. Some good friends of the show have been on many a times from the Porsches. The Endeavour Cup they're participating in. The historic touring cars, of course, Racer Industries are sponsoring that. Racer Industries are also sponsoring the Circuit XLs, which are the Circuit XL Challenge. And don't forget the open wheelers, the Formula Vs will be turning on a show, slipstreaming down that straight at a million miles an hour.
You know that it doesn't matter how many sort of Formula Vs turn up, really. I hope it's a really big field, but there's been some absolutely insane Formula V races over the years at Phillip Island.
So tickets can be purchased in advance or go to the gate on the day.
And one of the things to highlight is that whatever way the result goes, we're going to have a new national sports sedan champion for 2025. Steve Tomasi, who's been a front runner in the series for a long time now, in the black Holden Calibra. He's on 415 points, and he's leading Ash Jarvis, Queenslander, who's running in the ex-Colin Smith. Well, not ex, it's still owned by the Smith family, Holden Monaro. Ash Jarvis, former national champion of TA2. So that would be a interest if Ashley could pull that off. That would be an interesting little double act in having won the titles in TA2. Steve Tomasi is also a previous national champion, having been a national champion in 125cc supercars. So
yes, and also down there, I'm pleased to say he's decided to put his hand up and run. Our mate Brad Sheriff is going to be down there.
I knew where you're going there.
His absolute monster. Now, of course, he's
had to dial.
He's had to dial the wick right back once again because of that. because of that ridiculous sort of FIA level 3 power to weight ratio thing, which essentially means that any car that puts out over about 600 horsepower has to weigh an awful lot. I did some figures actually. Supercars just get through because I was interested to see if they had any sort of special dispensation. But supercars, taking into account the claimed power output of about 620 to 640 horsepower, they just sneak through.
Sneak through by a shredded wheel hub.
Yeah, so they will get through. But if they came back, if they I think it was about, I worked out it was about another 30 horsepower, and that would take them, or if they knocked a couple of 100 kilos off. But sports sedans, some of them are putting out over 720, some up to 800, and in qualifying. In qualifying trim, God knows how much
absolute missiles
is putting out. When you consider some of the cars at the Calder Park Roll Racing, some of the Nissans that are running there are pumping out 1,800 horsepower. It's pretty amazing. But look, it'll be a great weekend. It'll be a great weekend down there. Now, also, Paul pointing out, and I hadn't heard anything. They're normally really good in publicising this, but I've heard nothing at all about this.
Oh, I heard a little bit.
The AusX Open round 4 of the Supercross this Saturday at Marvel Stadium.
Been promoting it. They've been putting Jet on as a
so we've had nothing because as Doc knows, I mean we went out there and I was hoping to get out at some stage and if they had a media day, but it looks like we've been sort of knocked off that media list as well. So
I need to apply for it again.
Nobody loves a fairy when she's 40, so we don't get. We don't get all of the details and all of the invites that we used to back in the day, so never mind. But that's the way it goes. But they should get a big crowd for that. Get there, have a look at all of the signs going around and all of the stuff on the scoreboard because they're in pit lane. People are doing that, and good day to Niall and to Louis and who are involved in all of that. Anyway, that's about all the time we've got for that.
There was an interesting little incident up here we had the Noosa Hill Climb last weekend up here in Queensland.
Oh, is that where the tree fell?
Yeah,
everybody heard it.
An unfortunate Subaru got squashed by a falling tree after Saturday night storms up here in southeast Queensland. We've had a couple of ripper storms the last week or so ago, and unfortunately, it brought a tree down on top of a empty Subaru WRX. I guess it was fortunate at the time that that only one car was hit by falling arboreal devices. Successful weekend for the Noosa Hill Climb is a long-standing event up here in uses a superseded road, the road that connects Noosa to the highway. That road was bypassed many decades back by a newer, better road. So the old road then became an idea for a hill climb, and it's an awesome event. I haven't been there for a few years now, but I do love it. That's a great little event.
Not getting the time it deserves. MotoGP was also on the weekend because we haven't covered that. Yeah, Bezecchi, former rider, as I said, one of the former riders second half. Raul Fernandez, who was the winner of the Australian MotoGP down at Fort Byron a few weeks ago, picked up his pace and got into second position. And without going into too much in it, Antonio, old Gia, he got third. But Jackie made the top 10. Good on him in ninth. So had a formidable, quite a good week, not a bad weekend. So there you go.
They're testing as we speak.
At Valencia, we were talking about before we came on. Yeah.
Yeah. So check out some of the things.
Cool.
As usual, lots and lots of stuff to talk about. No time to talk about it.
Yeah, I've got to go. I'm going to go shut off a few channels because it's almost 12 o'clock. If you were milking right now, and then get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to go do some cows.
We almost had some Aussies win the Baja 1000
Yes,
on as well.
and I've just realised I did have the news there, and I haven't actually run the news. But yes, Paul Wheel and Toby Price had a refuelling incident, which
Yeah, they ran out of fuel on stage.
on stage.
Just,
Because they didn't get
they were
enough
leading
fuel
at
in.
the time, and
Yeah, they were leading, so bad luck. But just so many things, we can't cover all of them. We do
Bigger
need to go
fuel
now.
cell.
Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us once again. We'll be back next week. Las Vegas Grand Prix. And, of course, as I said, Isle of Magic. If you can't get down there, it is on Blendline TV. It is being covered. So if you can't get down there, the Improved Production Nationals. Also, they're going to have, for the first time for a long time, championships for both under and over 2 litres. There's that many cars there that have been able to do that. It's pretty much just sort of, Improved Production Nationals and supports. It's just, but it's going to be, but yeah, every major, pretty much every major improved production car in the country, from Queensland, New South Wales, across from Western Australia, the Northern Territory, everybody's coming across. It's going to be fantastic. Okay, everybody, we will catch up with you next week. So until we see you then, I've got a Liberal Party meeting to chair as the new leader, of course. And thank you very much to them.
New South Wales or Victoria?
For this honour. I don't know at this stage. The job search provider rang me in the afternoon and said, "We found you something. Congratulations, you're the new leader of the State Liberal Party." Apart from that, I have no idea what's going on. I mean, I'm not.
What
a
a
member of the
coincidence!
Liberal Party.
I got an email today from the Victorian Electoral Commission, so I might have to make sure he kept you in line.
Yeah. So anyway, but I've got a lot to do. I've got to meet all of the people that I'm apparently leading. So talking about the blind leading the blind. We'll be back. We'll be back next week, providing I survive another week if I can get
survival
through,
kit.
If I can get through the weekend without falling over again, like I did twice on the weekend, and this time breaking my silly neck again. I will see you next week, and we'll catch up with you then. Watch Channel 31 on Channel 44 in Adelaide on the weekend. The Antenna Awards as well. You can watch me make an idiot of myself up there as well. We'll catch up with you later on. See you later, everybody. Bye for now.